At 1:45 a.m. in local time, the relative quiet over the Black Sea was broken by the initiation of a complex Ukrainian naval drone operation targeting the Russian naval base at Novorossiysk. The primary objective of this operation, executed by Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence, GUR, was the degradation of the Russian Black Sea Fleet's remaining amphibious assault and logistical capabilities. The port of Novorossiysk has become a critical sanctuary and primary logistics hub for the fleet, following repeated Ukrainian strikes on facilities in occupied Crimea, particularly Sevastopol. The attack was carried out by a coordinated swarm of at least 10 Megara-5 maritime autonomous systems. These unmanned surface vessels, USVs, each carrying an explosive payload estimated at approximately 300 kilograms, approached the Semes Bay from multiple vectors to overwhelm the port's layered defenses. Analysis of an accompanying aerial reconnaissance drones feed, later released by Ukrainian intelligence, indicates the USVS navigated through the harbor's outer breakwaters before converging on their designated targets within the inner port. At approximately 2:07 a.m., the first detonations were observed. Russian defensive measures appeared to be reactive. Onshore sentries and naval crews engaged the incoming drones with heavy machine gun and small caliber cannon fire. Mi-8 and Ka-27 helicopters were scrambled to hunt the low-profile vessels on the water's surface. Despite these efforts, several Magura V-5s successfully penetrated the defensive screen. The primary target identified was the Rapucha-class landing ship, the Olenigorsky Gornyak. At least 2 direct impacts were visually confirmed on the vessel's port side, one near the waterline amidships and another closer to the stern. The resulting explosions were substantial, indicating a successful detonation of the drone's warheads. Subsequent secondary fires were observed on board the vessel. Additional explosions were reported near the port's oil terminal and grain silos, suggesting that secondary targets related to logistical infrastructure were also part of the operational plan. The Russian Ministry of Defense subsequently issued a statement, claiming that all attacking naval drones had been destroyed by the base's defensive assets without causing any damage. By sunrise, the operational picture became clearer. Commercial satellite imagery, corroborated by intelligence sources, revealed the Olenigorsky Gornyak listing heavily to port and being towed by 2 tugboats to a maintenance pier. A significant oil sheen was visible on the water surrounding the damaged vessel, indicating a breach of the hull and potentially the fuel tanks. The damage sustained makes the vessel non-operational for the foreseeable future and will require extensive dry dock repairs, if such repairs are even feasible given the extent of the structural damage. Minor damage was also assessed on the pier infrastructure adjacent to the landing ship's berth. The Ukrainian naval drone attack on Novorossiysk was a partially successful and strategically significant operation. While not all drones reached their targets, the confirmed crippling of a major naval asset like a Rapucha-class landing ship achieves a key objective. It further diminishes Russia's already limited amphibious lift capacity, complicating any theoretical future maritime operations against the Ukrainian coast. Furthermore, the attack demonstrates Ukraine's expanding operational reach and its ability to project force against one of Russia's most heavily defended naval installations. The psychological impact of successfully striking the fleet in its primary safe harbor cannot be overstated, forcing the Russian command to dedicate more resources to base defense rather than offensive operations. Beginning at 10:30 a.m., the Russian military initiated a large-scale retaliatory air campaign across southern and central Ukraine. This response was predictable and followed an established pattern of punitive strikes following successful Ukrainian deep strike operations. The stated objective was the destruction of Ukrainian port infrastructure and military facilities, but the targeting pattern also suggested an intent to disrupt Ukraine's grain export corridor and degrade its energy grid ahead of the autumn season. The first wave of the attack consisted of approximately 40 Shahed 136/131 loitering munitions launched from Cape Chauda in occupied Crimea and Primorsko-Akhtarsk in Russia. These slow-moving drones were launched in multiple groups, flying complex routes designed to probe and saturate Ukrainian air defense networks, particularly in the Odessa and Mykolaiv regions. Ukrainian air defense units, including mobile fire groups equipped with anti-aircraft guns and manpads, engaged the drones throughout the morning. Subsequently, at 11:45 a.m., the main missile barrage commenced. The attack was a multi-platform, multi-axis strike intended to overwhelm air defense systems that were already engaged with the Shahed drones. Strategic aviation elements, specifically two 95 MS bombers operating over the Caspian Sea, launched an estimated 16 Kh-101/Kh-555 air-launched cruise missiles. Simultaneously, Black Sea Fleet vessels, likely positioned southeast of Crimea, launched 8 Kalibr sea-launched cruise missiles. In addition to the cruise missiles, Russian forces employed 12 Iskander-M ballistic missiles, launched from ground-based systems in Crimea and the Belgorod Oblast, targeting objectives in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhzhia regions. The use of ballistic missiles, with their high speed and quasi-ballistic trajectory, presents a significant challenge for air defense interception. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that its air defense systems, including Patriot and SAMP/T batteries, successfully intercepted 12 of the 16 Kh-101/555 cruise missiles and all 8 of the Kalibr cruise missiles. A total of 31 out of the 40 Shahed drones were also shot down. However, the Iskander ballistic missiles proved more difficult to counter, with only a fraction being successfully intercepted. The missiles and drones that penetrated the defenses struck several targets. In Odessa, a port terminal and a grain storage facility were hit, causing significant fires and disrupting port operations. In Mykolaiv, an industrial facility was struck, resulting in damage to workshops and warehouses. Further inland, energy infrastructure in the Kryvyi area was targeted, leading to localized power outages. The Russian retaliatory strike achieved limited tactical success at a significant cost in munitions. While some targets were hit, particularly by ballistic missiles, the high interception rate of cruise missiles and drones by Ukrainian air defenses demonstrates their increasing effectiveness and integration. The strikes caused economic damage and temporarily disrupted logistics, but failed to achieve a decisive operational or strategic effect. The operation confirms Russia's continued reliance on long-range standoff strikes as a primary tool of retaliation and coercion, though the efficacy of this tool is being steadily eroded by improving Ukrainian air defense capabilities. In parallel with the aerial bombardment, Russian ground forces intensified offensive operations in the Donbas, particularly on the Avdiivka and Chasiv Yar axes. This escalation on the ground is assessed as a coordinated effort to fix Ukrainian forces in place, prevent the redeployment of reserves to other sectors, and generate positive battlefield reports to distract from the naval losses in the Black Sea. Beginning around midday and continuing through the afternoon, Russian units, primarily from the 1st Army Corps, launched a series of mechanized assaults towards the eastern outskirts of Chasiv Yar and south of Avdiivka. The assaults followed a familiar pattern, commencing with intense artillery and aerial bombardment using guided bombs, FAB-500s, to soften Ukrainian defensive positions. Following the barrage, platoon and company-sized assault groups composed of infantry supported by T-72/T-80 tanks and BMP/BTR armored fighting vehicles attempted to advance. Ukrainian units, including elements of the 92nd Assault Brigade and the 47th Mechanized Brigade, met the attacks from well-prepared defensive positions. The tactical approach of the Ukrainian defense relied on a combination of anti-tank guided missiles, ATGMs, heavy machine gun fire, and extensive use of FPV drones. Reconnaissance drones monitored the Russian formations as they assembled, allowing for preemptive artillery strikes using both conventional and DPICM, dual-purpose improved conventional munition, cluster shells to break up the assaults before they could gain momentum. FPV drone operators from Ukraine's Asgard Group and the Bulava strike drone company were particularly effective, targeting armored vehicles, command posts, and infantry concentrations. Released combat footage showed multiple instances of FPV drones striking and disabling Russian tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, often forcing the surviving infantry to dismount and advance without armored support, where they became vulnerable to mortar and automatic grenade launcher fire. Despite repeated attempts, Russian forces failed to make any significant territorial gains in these sectors and incurred substantial losses in both personnel and equipment. By evening, military observers had documented the visual loss of at least 12 Russian armored vehicles and dozens of infantry casualties in these failed attacks. The intensified ground assaults in the Donbas were attritional and ultimately unsuccessful. They failed to breach Ukrainian defensive lines or achieve any operational objectives. The high loss rates sustained by Russian forces in these attacks underscore their continued tactical challenges in conducting effective, combined arms operations against prepared defenses. For Ukraine, the successful defense demonstrates the resilience of its frontline units and the critical role that drone warfare now plays in blunting Russian offensive power. The operation served Russia's purpose of increasing the operational tempo and fixing Ukrainian defenders, but at a disproportionately high cost for no tangible benefit on the ground.